recent years, we're starting to see a lot more clothing items being made of performance textiles. What that basically means is that the same textiles that you might wear to work out in, say for example your yoga pants or your workout gear, fleeces, golf shirts, will increasingly be made of textiles that are often either polyester or they're mixed blends, may even be treated textiles, say for example ones that might be treated with antimicrobials or sun protective chemicals. Now, what we also see increasingly is that many of my patients will say that when they wear clothing items, they feel sweatier. Say, for example, they're wearing a golf shirt to work and they feel like this is like a hybrid look. I can wear a polo shirt that looks like it's for golf, but still go to work in it, not feeling like I'm dressed down, but they just feel sweatier in the material and they can't explain why, considering it's a performance textile. However, there's a reason for this. Now, I'm a dermatologist that studies textiles with regards to how they interact with the skin. And what I notice with patients is when they come in and say that they're sweating more, what I need to figure out is, are they actually sweating more than before, or do they just feel sweatier? There is a big difference here. Now, if you're actually sweating more than you were before, then we do evaluate you to decide, is this sweating from head to toe? Is it localized to certain areas? Are there any other secondary triggers for this sweating that we need to understand? Or is this a primary focal hyperhidrosis, meaning sweating that's limited to certain areas? If it is, and we really do rule out other causes, then the most important thing we need to do is to figure out, well, one, is there something about your environment, your clothing, or otherwise that might be triggering this? And yes, of course, we need to address the sweating itself with various types of treatment modalities that we can. Now, if you're just feeling sweatier in your clothing, then the question becomes, what type of clothing are you wearing? What are the primary materials that you tend to choose? You might have started to gravitate to certain brands and not realize that a lot of them are increasingly using performance textiles, and they might feel great against your skin, but there might be something that you're feeling as a result of that. Here's a comparison between a performance textile and cotton. When you put a drop of water on a performance textile, those textiles tend to be hydrophobic, meaning they tend to not like water. So the water will initially tend to bead before it actually dissipates through the clothing item. Then there is what we call a capillary action depending on the textile that's chosen, but a lot of performance textiles will have a structure to them that allows the moisture to dissipate across the textile to allow more surface area to be there. Because it's hydrophobic, it'll take the water in initially, but then it'll release it to the air a lot easier, so they are quick drying. However, if you look at the cotton side, you can see that it quickly gobbles up that water because it's hydrophilic. It loves water. But the challenge with cotton is that even though you will feel less sweaty when you first wear it because it's taking that moisture right off of your skin, the challenge that your skin will face is that the moisture won't go very far from there because cotton loves that moisture. It's going to hold on to it and not release it to the air as quickly as other types of performance textiles. There is a balancing act here, and I think this is where the tipping point is. If you're actually wearing performance textiles to work out in, then there's a significant amount of moisture from sweat that's building up that you can actually feel the benefit of that cooling effect where the moisture goes right through the textile and dissipates through the fabric, and it doesn't feel as wet against your skin. If you're wearing performance textiles for daily wear, however, there's a good chance that the amount of sweat that you're producing is not so significant for you to actually feel that difference, but you might actually ironically feel sweatier in those textiles because that moisture, that initial moisture that builds up on the textile is sitting there before it dissipates into the textile the way it could for cotton. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just something to understand, because if that's the case, you may want to choose performance textiles that are more of a blend, that have a blend of, say, cotton and other fibers in them, so that you can gain the benefit of the cotton, but also gain the benefit of the softness of the material, the quick drying effects of other aspects of the material, so that hopefully it won't feel so uncomfortable for daily wear use.